So hey guys, it's me, DJ Under Prediction. I'm at home just chilling, doing some recording, and wanted to share a bit of info with you guys today. Going out to the DJs. There's always been a Macintosh and Windows battle going on. Um, I do have my preferences, but let me just let other guys know what the battle is all about and give my opinion according to my accounts and my having to deal with both kinds of machines and how best I go about it. It's basically for me, it's something very basic and simple. Let me just turn down the volume on this. As I'll show you in the next clips, for me, the different applications that I prefer to use on a Mac, the different applications I prefer to use on a Windows machine. And there's no bias with regard to Mac over Windows. There's some things that you just can't do with a Mac, and there's some things you just can't do with a Windows machine. It's best to have both. It's best to have top of the range. Of course, it's a good idea to invest in top of the range machinery equipment, and it'll give you the best results sooner or faster or even more efficiently as compared to a low end spec built machine. With Macintosh, it's really hard to customize your machine to the specs that you want. You either take it as it is, especially with the new generation Retinas and the USB-C machines. Anything over and above 2014 on a Mac is really hard to customize, not unless you're willing to spend a lot of money, or unless you're willing to invest in a machine that actually has your specifications right from the shop. You get? You can customize it, but it's advisable to customize it from the shop because they don't release a machine until it's perfectly A1 according to the performance standards. Yet again, with a Windows machine, give or take, be it a PC, be it a laptop or anything is possible so long as you can get your identical speed RAM chips and everything. If you can get a hard drive that rotates at the same identical speed as the one that was there before, your machine should work fine. The only problem is that with the misconception of that is common to literally someone who hasn't studied IT or someone who hasn't been working hand in hand with this kind of equipment on the back end, not as a user, but as either a repair guy or someone whose interest goes deeper into building machines. It might be a misconception that you can just plug in any RAM chip and it'll run. No, not quite. There's something about RAM that applies both onto Windows and Mac. The RAM that was built for that particular motherboard is actually very a very integral part of that machine's being. It's in sync with that motherboard. It's in sync with what that motherboard can, how fast and how best that motherboard can perform. So if you take a RAM chip, I don't have a sample here because I haven't yanked out anything, but if you take out that RAM chip and see, it has a clock speed and it has its capacity. Clock speed is the speed at which the RAM communicates with all the other peripherals on the machine. If you can get one that is identical to that, then now you can add the capacity, as in you can bigger capacity, of course bigger is better, but bigger capacity, but at that same clock speed, your machine will work wonders. That applies for both Mac and Windows. And for hard disks also rotate. For the SATA hard drives, they also rotate at a certain speed. Different hard drives rotate at different speed. SATA, let's just say 2002 onwards up until about 2010 technology. So they're still being used. They're still very good, still very reliable, brilliant and long lasting on desktop machines, the machines that don't move around. But for laptops, I'd prefer an SSD, solid state drive. Those ones they're like the size of two fingers. You could get a 1 terabyte. Actually, you could get a 1 terabyte the size of 4 fingers, just this thick, this height. Yeah, my hands are not big, but yeah, those things. Oh, good. I have a power bank. Just about say an inch wide, if you can see that. About this high, that's about 4 inches tall, an inch wide, and they weigh about anything close to 50 to 100 grams. But the performance on that thing, since they don't have any rotating mechanism inside, those things work wonders. Solid state is the way to go. It's the future up until something else comes up, but solid state drives are the best, especially for a laptop. I'm not going to say which laptop I'm using because this will just spark bias and everything, but I'll tell you which Windows machine I'm using. I'm using a desktop. It's actually a HP 16 gig RAM. It has 3 terabyte hard drive. It has what else? What does it say? Properties. I even forgot how to use this thing. There it is. It's an Elite. Okay, it's the glare on the screen is a bit bright. It's a 16 gig RAM, 64-bit Windows 10 Elite desktop. 3.2 gigahertz processor. Whoa. Okay. It's an i5. It has two 3.2 gigahertz processors. It's not a dual core. It's something else. It doesn't. The thing. Okay, let me just put it this way. The reason I have a Windows machine is because I use a lot of editing softwares like Windows, like Sony Music Studio, Sony Vegas, Sony Acid Pro, Video Converter Ultimate. Those are not okay. Video Converter Ultimate is available on Mac, but under a different name, iMasoft. Most of the softwares that I use on Windows are not available on Mac, and they're good for video editing and stuff like that. They're chap. As much as yes, we have video editing softwares that are equally as good or even better with regard to what you want to do with the video exactly on Mac. Because I see a lot of guys in production houses using Macintosh. I prefer Windows because mine is not heavy and based, but I can't find a Mac with 3 terabyte storage space. You see, and it's still asking for more. I can go all the way up to 16 terabyte of hard disk space on just this one PC. It has the slots to accommodate all those SSD drives. Oh, and an SSD drive is bloody expensive, so yeah, 1 terabyte going for 40 Gs. It's no joke. That's 400 USD. It's no joke, but for performance wise, it's the best. For mobility, I always encourage people just to get yourself an SSD drive. It has close to zero reactions to shock being dropped from a high place or impact or any form of trauma caused to the hard drive. It rarely reacts unless it's running, and well, we all know electricals and impact of any nature can damage them, so let's just avoid that. So yeah, back to my point of view on Windows or Mac. I say both. Mac is stable on literally any amount of pressure you give it. Pressure being the weight of the softwares you're using. This is my Mac, the one I use at home. It really doesn't matter how much load you put on it, and if it can't handle, it's shut down. But it's yet to shut down. It hasn't. The only problem I have with Mac is that it can only run one instance of any program. You can't open 2 windows of the same software. You cannot. You can't. You might try and try. You cannot. One instance is all it will accept. However much, yes, it has so many resources. It can allocate so many resources to one software, yet the operating system is running independently on its own allocations. It will never hang. It's a misconception. Yes, Macs do hang. You try and run something off an external hard drive and pull it out, it'll hang. You'll have to restart the machine. Happens to any Mac. But by the time you get your Mac to hang, there's something seriously wrong, either with your RAM or either with your hard drive. There's something not communicating with the other. That's why Macs hang. But for me, Macs are just a reliable a reliable asset, a reliable piece of equipment that if you use rightfully, not abuse, but if you use rightfully, will never fail. The only reason people get new Macs is because there's a new Mac out. not because they're old and have stopped working. Well, if it has, then it's wear and tear, and it happens to every piece of equipment. Sasa, for me, Mac is just the dedication, the build. It's a very blonde machine. I mean, seriously, look at it. Has no right click. It just has at double click. You use two fingers to move something, to move to a different window. You on the trackpad. As in, seriously, how blonde can it be? And makes it fun to use because you discover some different things about your Mac every now so often when you're working. You're like, you do bad, and how did I get there? You start, then you end up playing with your machine and discover more and more and more, and become intellectually advanced, and you can brag about this to your friends. Sindio? And we all love to brag once in a while. But yeah. On to, am I done with market? Oh yeah, a problem with Macintosh. They come up with the pretty advanced with technology, and they kind of like want to be the trendsetters. However much there's some Windows machines that were way advanced. They actually are way advanced, way better than a Macintosh, way more durable. We apply different ends of technology in comparison to Macintosh. They cost cheaper. They are more powerful to the sense that right now I'm running a 16 GB 1 terabyte MacBook Pro. You'd find 32 gig 2 terabyte Alienware perfectly cheap. More or less, if it's Alienware, that's more or less the same price because that's top of the range gaming machines.